Hello everyone and welcome to our second game of the day, another Halloween special. I thought we might start out with a little bit of just a browse of what I'm seeing, which has made me consider consider playing this game. So this is Anatomy. I've never heard of this game before, at least if I have, I don't remember it. I forgot about it if I did. Estimated running time 30 to 45 minutes, so it's somewhere in the region of what we're looking for. Explore a suburban house, collect cassette tapes, which is pretty classic for some of these kind of shorter games. Go around, pick up pieces of paper in the woods, Slender Man sort of stuff. Study the physiology of domestic architecture. This game has multiple endings, controls, yes. This is what's kind of got me onto it. I've read a few of these. It doesn't aim to startle you with a big monster or a loud noise. It's anything but predictable, and that's exactly what horror should be, Playboy.com. I don't sleep in my house anymore because I'm afraid of what it's going to do to me. Anatomy scared me in a way that no video game ever has. Coolghosts.net. If your heart holds any childish fear of the familiar or any primal terror of the unseen and unheard, any discomfort at how much of ourselves we project onto our surroundings, any curiosity at our relationship to the edifice of our daily lives, then Anatomy has something for you. Okay, I'll read one more. Anatomy goes all in for the scary bits, turning comfortable everyday spaces into weird, strange, unsettling beings. All right, now that's enough, I think. Let's get into the game. Now, based on the last game we just did, from what I understand, this one is going to be more along the lines of classic, what you would expect from a horror game. All right, I'm hoping that anyway. And it'd be a shame if if I've picked games that aren't even scary to play on Halloween. However, one of the games that I intended to play isn't working. So I may have to go in for something that's going to be a bit more obviously scary. All right, but anyway, we'll see how we go. Okay, I'm just going to... Give me a second, I want to check the settings, make sure everything's right. Alright, actually couldn't access any settings, just exited the game, so... What I really wanted to do was just lower the sensitivity a bit. I came in here, didn't I? Like, I can't change the volume in the game or anything like that. Just got a tape. What do I do with it?
In the psychology of the modern civilized human being, it is difficult to overstate the significance of the house. Since as early as the Neolithic era, humankind has defined itself by its buildings. Buildings for worship, buildings for socializing, buildings for protection, even buildings for the commemoration of the dead. But of all the structures that mankind has invented for itself, there is little doubt that the house is that which it relies upon most completely for its continued survival.
Okay. Don't really have much to say on that, to be honest. I mean, it's pretty... kind of obvious, isn't it? So we get the tapes and we bring them back here, do we?
The house is one of the key elements that separates modern humanity from its more primitive antecedents. No other creature goes to such lengths to create lasting, permanent shelter for itself, nor regards said shelters with such reverence and import. Why do human beings of our modern age foster this tremendous sympathy toward their homes? There are many reasons, of course, but perhaps it is due in some small part to seeing them as a reflection of ourselves.
Yes. They literally are, aren't they? Everything in your house, everything in your environment is a reflection of your own existence, your own experience, reflection of some element of your own mind. So it's you, it's an extension of you, what you consider yourself to be.
The anatomy of the house is such that this analogy is less superficial than at first it may seem. To carry it further, if we were to dissect a house as we might a human cadaver, we would find ourselves able to isolate and describe its various appendages and their functions in a decidedly anatomical fashion. There is even a fair number of direct comparisons to be drawn between those organs of a house and those of a human body.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, like the idea of like a house taking on or being possessed by kind of spirits and ghosts, most often connected to the person in some way, the individual, like this, the spirit that haunts the psychology of the individual, haunts the house that they're in, haunts the environment they're in, as if the house is literally the body of the person. You get a lot of poltergeist activity around disturbed and kind of aggressive energy or aggressively disturbed energy, meaning, like there's various states of mind you can enter into that are frighteningly turbulent, which generates activity in the environment, paranormal activity in the environment. Just kind of commenting on what this is hinting at, that you are the house. What is in the house is you, as if the whole house is a mirror to you, for you to see yourself. Tends to be why when you learn about this type of thing and you go and put yourself in an empty room for years, you meditate, you empty out your mind, it all dissolves and disappears, your consciousness.
For example, let us examine the living room. Often the dominant space of a house's ground level, as well as typically the center of activity in a well-populated home, the living room is very much the heart of the house. While a human heart circulates blood to oxygenate the body's extremities, the living room circulates people, activity, communication. It is the room most likely to be found beating, as active and vivacious as its name would imply. The comparison is only strengthened when we consider also that the living room is most commonly the room to contain the fireplace, making it additionally a locus of actual physical heat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I can run. All right, cool. Good to know. Double checking, I think I've seen everywhere else, haven't I? Down here, I mean. Except that one room, which was there. Yeah, houses contain memory, don't they? Energetic imprints of past experiences. I mean, more than houses do, environments do. It's quite a common occurrence, isn't it, in certain kind of legends and tales of a house taking on, or a house being alive, or a house taking on or becoming alive in some strange way. Okay, so there's a tape around somewhere. I don't know if you've ever spent time in a house like that, a house that's got that kind of aura about it. But it, just because of the fact of what it is, most often that means that other people, you hear stories, you hear tales, and the way that the house holds itself, let's say, like, noises, creaks, the lighting in an environment can all add to that. If you live in a very creaky house or an old house, or it's got a bit of a history to it, that all filters itself into your own thoughts about the place, which then can manifest interesting experiences within you as well, as if there is no actual separation between you and the house.
It is easy to think of the kitchen and dining room as the stomach or digestive system of a house, though this comparison is tenuous. By contrast, the function and analog of a bathroom should be immediately obvious. The hallways and corridors of a house are its veins, providing circulation coursing throughout its frame. A staircase bears more than a passing resemblance, both physically and symbolically, to a spine. The windows of a house serve much the same purpose as eyes, and anyone who has ever rounded a bend or long drive and come suddenly face to face with a tall, dark manor will tell you that it is difficult to shake the impression that the house, through its lightless windows, is a creature capable of vision and intelligence.
Yeah, I think I would have to differentiate from like the house isn't. It's just appearances, the house isn't becoming intelligent. It can't operate without the observer. It can't. These types of experiences can't occur without the human, or the being that is there. So it's the mind that's doing it. It's not not actually the house. It's connected to the individual, which is why different people have different experiences. Some people feel it, some people don't. But say something about on the stairs. There's a tape on the stairs. Anyway, I'll shut up. I'll try not to dissect that sort of stuff too much. But the house isn't alive, clearly.
The bedroom is perhaps the room that most eludes direct comparison in this fashion. At a stretch, and allowing for a bit of poetic sympathy, it might be said that the bedroom is not unlike the human mind, or those parts of it which dictate thought and imagination. In the bedroom, dreams are dreamt, passions are ignited, epiphanies are experienced in cold sweat at early hours. In the bedroom is where people invariably spend the majority of their time, though comparatively little of it whilst conscious.
Just leaving these doors open so I know which ones I've been in. It's funny, isn't it, how a lot of things take up on meaning, but only because of our own implied meaning. It's one of the things I always watch for when I listen to things like that, like somebody else talking from a position of kind of knowledge, is how much of it is artificially imposed, perceived knowledge based on perception. Because you can obviously impose your own perceptions on a situation, which the situation doesn't actually have. That's coming from the individual, the perceiver, filtered through their own beliefs or associations, especially with regards to this type of thing, paranormal stuff. Meaning it isn't what it seems to be. Most often that's the case.
And yet this analogy is an incomplete one, for obviously the mind is an exceedingly complex thing. If the bedroom represents the thinking, dreaming part of the brain, then it is the basement that represents those lower, unconscious parts. The basement is dark. It is buried. It is a place full of cobwebs where memories are stored. A poignant comparison, truly. Often the unnerving uncertainty that comes with considering the deeper aspects of the human psyche is not unlike gazing down at the swimming blackness pooled at the bottom of a basement stairwell. It is a place we spend our childhoods filling with monsters that will lay for years in patient silence. It is a place that, barring some specific errand, we seldom ever want to go.
Yes, everybody fears the basement. What lurks in the dark. So the basement is the one that we haven't looked in, right? Down here. Oh, maybe not. Well, the basement's not going to be upstairs, is it? So I must have missed a door. Can't open that one. Here we go. Very good. Okay. So it was at the back of the kitchen. Just give me a second. Okay. So I've had a lot of exposure. I won't go into it too much in this, but I've had a lot of exposure to this sort of thing in real life. Yeah, I've got quite a deep history regarding this sort of thing, paranormal experiences. I'll probably talk about it a little bit as I kind of play these games more, maybe more occasionally. But it's hard, you know, because you don't want to, you kind of rip apart the game. I know a lot of people base these types of creations based on their imagination or call them limited experiences. So you end up imposing too much reality upon the game, which then ruins the game itself, you know. Sometimes it's nice to just have an experience, isn't it? Anyway, let's go see what this one's all about.
Of course, this comparison, though appropriate, is a very heavy-handed one, and often the basement is little more than a storage space littered with the corpses of spiders and woodlice. While poets and psychoanalysts no doubt dread the thought of a dark basement, in truth, it is the bedroom, the waking mind, that place of dreams, that is actually the most frightening of all.
Why is it flashing? Has it always been flashing? Teeth. They don't like human teeth, do they? Like dog teeth. Why can't I put it in there? Where's the door? The door disappeared. It has too. I can't actually put it in. Oh yeah, okay, never mind.
It is here, in the bedroom, that we are at our most vulnerable. Each night we shut our senses to the world for hours at a time, trusting in the house to keep us safe until next we wake. In this state of extreme vulnerability, we will spend something like 20% of our lives. Anything might stand beside us, watch us, keep us company until dawn, and we would never perceive it. We can only pray that the house will not let such things carry on as we sleep. In this way, during these hours, the bedroom seems less like a mind and more like a mouth. For it is here that the house is most likely to betray us. It is here that we place ourselves most at the house's mercy and spend each night hoping that it will not bite down.
Right. That's it, is it? Right, well, the game's just ended. Wow. Okay. So, all right, I'll give the game its props on an interesting kind of psychological, I don't know, it's not a thought experiment, is it? It's just a line of thinking. It's a little bit interesting to kind of think of a house as in comparison to or as an organism. I mean, you heard the reviews, you read them. I don't sleep in my house anymore because I'm afraid of what it's going to do to me. Scared me in a way that no video game ever has. I mean, okay, fair enough. Raises the tension as it lures you into the deeper recesses of the house, laid out in a way that makes you dread turning every corner and opening every door. Maybe it did for him, for them, for that person. Anyway, I'm not going to get into any kind of, negative sort of commenting, but it wasn't scary. It wasn't scary. So, like I said, the other video that I had planned, the other game that I had planned actually didn't want to work. It was an older game, and clearly these games have not hit the mark. Clearly, neither of them so far. I may jump back into the first one that we did, the one we just put up. I can't remember what it was called now. I'm Scared. I may jump back into that at some point. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to find a game that I think looks really scary. These ones are kind of, like I said, I went off of a bit of a list, of us kind of, oh, you're not actually seeing that, are you? Never mind, it doesn't matter. I read it out to you anyway. Yeah, these games came suggested off of a bit of a list. The list has been a bit of a letdown, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look into my library and see if I have any horror games that are actually scary, that I think look scary. Or maybe I'll have a little look on online and see if I can pick something up if I don't have anything decent. So that was more of an interesting kind of psychological experience. I think that kind of a philosophy, philosophical thing. Anyway, it is what it is, and that's enough said about that. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Anatomy, and I do hope you will join me in the next episode of Something Scary. Goodbye for now. Alright, so after reviewing the footage, one of the quotes at the start of the video was that the game has multiple endings, which I'd forgotten about. It's definitely a lot more, is the screen a lot fuzzier this time? Plus there's a strange audio, isn't there? Input. I'll leave that on. What was that? Huh. Okay.
In the psychology of the modern civilized human being, it is difficult to overstate the significance of the house. Since as early as the Neolithic era, humankind has defined the era of the dead. But of all the structures that mankind has invented for itself, there is little doubt that the house is that which it relies upon most completely for its continued survival.
There is a tape in the dining room. Okay, cool. Now we're getting interesting. All right, okay. Yeah, given, what we read, I was a bit surprised that playthrough, so I'm glad there's a second part. I'm going to try and stay in the game this time too. I know I went out of it a little bit and started talking about sort of personal stuff. I'm not going to do that this time.
Why do human beings of our modern age foster this tremendous sympathy?
Downstairs bathroom. There is a... Doors are unlocked. That's the fastest run I've ever had in a game, that. It's pretty quick, isn't it? Ooh. Spooky. What doors are unlocked? Let's check out the basement, eh? Was it at the back of this room? Okay, it's still locked. Let's go upstairs then. By multiple endings, I don't know how many, whether it's 2 or... I guess we'll find out. I'll try and play the game again after this. Huh. What? Not sure if that's intentional. Okay. Tape in the living room.
It is easy to think of the kitchen and dining room as the stomach or digestive system of a house, though this comparison is tenuous. Our contrast, the function and analog of a bathroom should be immediately obvious. The hallways and corridors of a house are its veins, providing circulation coursing throughout its frame. A staircase bears more than a passing resemblance, both physically and symbolically, to a spine. The windows of a house serve much the same purpose as eyes, and anyone who has ever rounded a bend on a long drive and come suddenly face to face with a pale, dark manor will tell you that the house is a creature capable of...
Where else was there? Where else was there except for the, Ooh. Okay. It's gone a bit darker, has it?
The bedroom is perhaps the room that most eludes direct comparison in this fashion. At a stretch, and allowing for a bit of poetic sympathy, it might be said that the bedroom is not unlike the human mind, or those parts of it which dictate thought and imagination. In the bedroom, I
dream that there are teeth growing all over me, everywhere on me and in me, like cysts or bone spurs. They're loose, but I can't remove them because I have no hands. I look out through the bedroom window and I see a truck approaching. A young man steps out, approaches, and enters through the front door. His body is covered in swollen ticks the size of quarters. He's walking through the downstairs hallway and laughing. He begins urinating on the wall. He spits on the carpet. He's moving through the first floor, breaking and upsetting things. He goes to the basement and stands at the top of the stairs. I'm angry at him, so I slam the door and he falls down. I can feel his bones snapping. The ticks are bursting, oozing old black blood everywhere. I can feel them being ground up, dissolved and torn, splitting and shredding. I leave the door closed. I close my eyes and try to sleep. The teeth continue growing on me until there's nothing left of me but teeth, and gums, and sinew.
The basement is dark.
All right. Now, is that it? So I'm just firing it up again. See if it starts over. No, it's different. Very different. Sounds like that often bring to my attention the weird. Let me just think about how to word this, because it's the sort of thing I don't know whether or not to bring it up. But you hear things like that, and I often think about the types of situations you can end up in as a human being. If you just reflect for a second outside your own experience now that you're having wherever you are, the potential, call them realities if you want, that other people are having on the planet at the moment, and the types of situations it is possible to end up in as a human being, to find yourself in. There are some truly horrific realities in that sense of the word, My thoughts often extend out towards others when I hear those types of sounds. That's the true nightmare, That's the true hell. This is good, I'm enjoying this now. Wait. Still screaming. It's a disturbing thought, isn't it? You could walk away from a situation like that, and that person in that situation is still there. Would be downstairs, would it? The basement? I don't know, we'll check in a sec. Still one room there too. My vision's starting to go a bit strange from this screen. It's a weird effect that it has. Similar to that last one, I'm Scared, whereby the game ends. You know, it's like this. Because the game hasn't ended, but you return back to yourself in that moment, back into the world that you're in, into the physical environment that you're in. It brings it back with you, you know, it brings it. It's like a sense of the game bringing the experience you're having in the game continues, hasn't ended, it hasn't actually ended while you're back in your body, you know, in the physical world. Right, where am I going now? What am I doing? One more room up here, isn't there, somewhere? Still not open. Here we go.
If we were to dissect the house, we would find organs and stomach, brains and minds and eyes, dreams and memories and a mouth that will bite down.
I'm gonna guess this is the last time we go down here.
There is an important distinction that must be drawn between the words dissection and vivisection, a distinction that would appear to be lost on you. Your purpose was to listen, and yet at every turn you have pried, you have prodded, and you have interfered. Have you not been paying attention? Did it not occur to you that as an organism existing within a greater organism, your intrusion would be felt? And still you harassed. And now, like the wayward spider who witlessly settles upon a sweeper's tongue, you will be swallowed. Because the truth is this. When a house is both hungry and awake, every room becomes a mouth.
It's interesting, you know, there's something funny, isn't there, about thinking that a house is haunting you. I mean, it's nice if it's the house, because you can leave a house. You know, I think a lot of people like to think that it's the house that's haunted, because you can banish the house, or you can cleanse the house, or you can leave the house, or you can destroy the house. But if it's you, if it's your own mind that's haunted, well, there's nowhere you can go. It's not to say there's nothing that you can't do, but you can't run. There's no way you can run. You have to stop. You have to look. Because there's no way to hide. Really. And it's never the house, no matter how it might seem. Is this us now? Are we here forever? And of course we return back to the house. Okay, let me just see. I'll get it at one more time. I think that's probably the end. That would make sense if that was the end. You know, you're left in this. But what? Okay, so I can't move. Do you see what I mean? It has that kind of carryover.
What happens to a house when it is left alone? When it becomes worn and aged? When its paint peels and its foundations begin to sink? When it goes for too long unlived in? What does it think of? What does it dream? How does it regard those creatures who built it, brought it into existence only to abandon it when its usefulness no longer satisfies them? It may grow lonesome. It may stare for long hours into the darkness of its own empty halls and see shadows, and its heart may jump as it thinks, here's someone again, I'm not alone. And each time it is wrong, and the hurt starts over. It may haunt itself, inventing ghosts to walk its floors, making friends with its shadow puppets, laughing and whispering to itself at the end of some quiet cul-de-sac. It may grow angry. Its basement may fill with churning acid like an empty stomach, and its gorge may rise as it asks itself through clenched teeth, what did I do wrong? It may grow bitter. It may grow hungry. So hungry and so bitter that its scruples dissolve and its doors unlock themselves. While a house may hunger, it cannot starve. And so, in fever and anger and loneliness, it may simply lie in wait. Doors open, shades drawn, hallways empty, hungry.
So I think that's it. What an interesting game. The empty spaces of life where there is no one around to see. I've thought about that occasionally in life. You know, when you go somewhere, you go to a place, and there's no other people around, there's no other humans, and there's not much kind of animal life or anything. There are just maybe rocks or material objects. You think that place exists constantly in that space of aloneness, isolated outside of our own everyday perception of what it means to be alive. There are those spaces that are very, very different to our own view, our own consciousness. And what occurs there when there's nobody watching. Anyway, very cool. That was cool. That was a little bit more along the lines of what I was hoping for. Something more of a psychological, I wouldn't even call it horror, but I would call it, it's almost like playing with the potential reality of something other, something outside of you, outside of ordinary. Alright, cool. We'll go with that, and there will be more to come. I will find something else for us to play, at least one more, and I've still got plenty of time. It really just depends on how things go. I've got my kids, and we are going to a Halloween event tonight in the local area, trick-or-treating. I'm taking them out. So I'll get one more video in for sure, and if I can, I'll do another one after that as well. But I'm going to try to find something actually kind of jump scary for one, you know, because I want to have one video on there that I would call scary, that would make me kind of fit. I mean, you've seen by no means am I immune to jump scares or kind of those moments of fear. Just 2 seconds, buddy. I'll be there in a minute, okay? So I'm going to try to find something for us along those lines. Alrighty. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you. See you in the next one. Goodbye for now.